Click the thing. I love it.
So, as part of being an onomancer, I get to choose another level 2. I get to choose a new language proficiency. And I'm going through the list of languages. And wow, there are some hilarious things I can learn.
Just pick
Skillian
Latin.
slang.
Like ice toad.
What?
Never know when that's going to come up.
Yeah, but when it did come up, think of how good you would feel.
So I will either allow you to take that language now, or just leave it blank until you want to decide on the spot, this is the language I know.
Okay.
It seems
I
like
might
the better
do that
option, yes.
Ooh, giant eagle? Florian can speak giant eagle, sure.
Wait, I saw those movies and they speak English.
But yeah, alright, I'll do that.
Okay.
What? Take Giant Eagle?
Because
Decide on the spot.
neither of us know what languages are going to be important in this campaign yet.
Right. That said, you're a coward for not taking Giant Eagle.
Who has a 100-word summary of the trouble you guys got into last session?
Nobody died.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's a start.
Let's see. Let me see. We ran around looking for leads on the flying pig. Some of it worked out better than others. Lucius tried to hurt. Lucius made the absolutely hilarious mistake of getting Dude Bro Noble and the Ponce in the same room. It's like trying to watch a man herd cats.
Yeah. I did get something out of that. I got a lead on the most recent dealings that House Fireblood had with regard to the House of the
Right.
Court of Nobles.
Right, we decided to sandbag the Ponce. So that's something we're going to need to sit down and decide, like, what we feed him.
That's a great band name, by the way.
Sandbag the Ponce.
Oh, I see wrong here.
Okay.
What else of interest happened?
We kind of codified Gus has a drinking problem, so that happened.
So there is a 6th member of Flumph Inc. named Drunk Gus.
So, when I was playing yesterday, they were asked me if I was going to be rolling up a separate character sheet for Drunk Gus, and I told them no, that's too much work. And they said, well, what if Brick Road makes you do it? And I said, oh, I hope he doesn't, because that would be too much work.
No, you're not going to be making a separate character sheet for Drunk Gus.
Here's the thing. Gus has drinking problems. Drunk Gus has drinking solutions.
Is the solution always to just drink more?
More than
More
likely,
often
yeah.
than not. More often than not.
So what solutions did Drunk Gus have last session?
I went and spoke to an old sign. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. She likes her heraldry, and she thinks that Seeker is a soulless homunculus. And that conversation went absolutely nowhere.
Seeker, do you have any evidence that you are not a soulless homunculus?
No, Seeker is actually very intrigued in how he would tell.
Maybe you should go talk to the old lady and ask her if you're a soulless homunculus. And then we went to the hookah bar, and Seeker got 3 leafs in, and we went and spoke with the owner of the hookah bar, and I got compelled to tell the truth.
And
So
you cried and cried and cried.
Right.
3 leaves to the wind. It was beautiful.
I don't remember what Alexander and
What's that?
I was like, I don't remember what Alexander and Florian were doing.
Florian was working until he
What?
decided to get involved with the mob. Like you do.
Oh, right, the mob. Right, yes. How could I forget about the mob?
Hey, Alexander, here's a really shady alley. We should walk down it.
Seems
Okay.
good to me.
I also here's something that I love about the last session is that the one guy was like, "Oh my god, he has a magic crossbow. He's dangerous." A normal crossbow deals 1d8 plus 2 damage with my pitiful dex mod.
Mhm.
Ray of Frost is 1d6 damage. Super dangerous.
They don't know you could shoot a magic missile out there.
We
That's
spoke. We spoke to the. We went to apologize to the gentleman, and he took Florian's shoes. So Florian's going to walk barefoot for the rest of the campaign.
Alex already bought him new boots and took it
Yes.
off the balance sheet.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who don't know, they have actually set up a spreadsheet to keep track of all of their finances for Flumph Inc. And they've called it Haste Books.
Yeah. What's the issue there?
No, there's no issue. I wasn't aware if the viewers were aware of that. So that happened.
So
It's haste books by intuition intuition check.
Uh huh.
Insight. It's haste books by insight, obviously.
Yeah. Haste books by insight. I'm with you.
Seeker, I've got good news. The morning of the 17th, your raise dead penalties have expired. And you are back to peak Seekering condition.
Oh, thank God. Florian, you're woken up very early in the morning by knocking on your door.
Oh, Florian's already awake. Let's just opens it.
Well, before we get into this scene, I want to go over the open questions. To my mind, we have 5.
Just keep growing.
Who cast the vote for House Fireblood 60 years ago? What is the flying pig symbol? Who are Alanus, Ruxby, and Fettle? And what did they plan to do with the dragon powder that they can no longer get, thanks to you?
Yep.
Why have all the Mosscat patrols been changed? And why did the Keyskin ambassador sail?
Can you paste that into the Twitch chat?
Sure.
I was trying to type really fast.
Yeah, I was too, and then I was like, wait a second, we have technology.
My Twitch chat just yelled at me and is now making me agree to my own chat rules. So yes, Twitch, I will follow my own chat rules. Thanks for asking.
Don't be
Oh, did you put it in the
butt-faced.
Twitch chat?
Yeah, I'm
Don't
gonna
pretend
paste it
like
in
you
the
don't
Twitch
know
chat.
what don't be a butt face.
Can someone cross
Okay,
at
got
the
it.
I'm
party
gonna post
chat?
it in the Flump chat too.
Thank
There
you.
you
Lucky you, there's no rules in the Flump party chat.
And like I'm logged into Twitch, so Twitch is just like Alright, you go ahead and continue your scene. Florian is already awake and Seeker is no longer partially dead.
And you see Seeker standing outside your room, looking extremely frazzled and nervous. And he just barges right in. Florian, I don't know who else. You seem like you might understand this. You might. Florian, have you ever gambled?
Oh, yeah, several times actually.
Okay, so like you know the one with the ball rolls around the hole and the ball rolls around all the holes and then it lands in one of the holes?
Yeah.
So I think we might all be balls, and I think I might be able to hit the table and make the ball roll into one of the other holes, and I don't know what this means about the world, and I'm scared.
That sounds fascinating.
I picture during this scene is Florian just pulling on his new boots.
No, I think he's sitting in a chair thinking about what he's just heard and the larger consequences of that.
Because
So,
I thought that maybe I was learning how to see the future, and that made a lot of sense to me. Sure, you can see the future, that makes a lot of sense. But now I think I might be seeing the futures, and I think there might be a lot of futures, and I think I might be able to change the futures.
Jesus Christ, Nodal.
Oh, also, I've jury-rigged the coffee maker. It's a little stronger today.
Wait, did you spend one of your Artificer infusions on a coffee maker?
No.
Did you spend one of your artificer infusions on the mayonnaise making jar?
Yes.
oh, for sure. There are absolutely multiple futures. There has to be multiple futures because we all experience multiple truths.
Yeah, but normally, like, you change the future by, like, you do something. Like, I go out with you and we do something and the future changes. But I think I might be able to change how it works when other people are doing things. And that doesn't seem right.
Well, of course it seems right. When we interact with others, we are changing their futures too.
So this makes sense, is what you're saying. This makes sense, and I'm not just going crazy, and everything's fine.
You've described it in a very fascinating way, and I'm very intrigued by it. But yes, it does all make sense.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go have some coffee.
You go to there and Gus is making coffee. And he looks at you and he slaps you on the back and goes, "How's my favorite soulless homunculus?" And he walks off.
Meanwhile, when Lucius wakes up, he finds his armor is missing.
Lucius comes up to the others in a dressing gown still. And says, "Good morning,
Alexander,
where's my armor?"
isn't there.
May I compliment you on your very wonderful dressing gown?
Cheer Gus in the back going, "Woo! Take it off!" Actually, he wouldn't be that excitable in the morning.
How do we know which morning it is?
It's the 17th.
It is very much the
But which
17th.
17th?
This one.
Oh, and as you come out there, a very put upon Kevin, who looks like he just did a lot more work than he usually does, tells you that it's in Alexander's room, along with a ton of other stuff Alexander had him gather up over the past few days. Way more complicated than his normal requests.
Lucius very tentatively knocks on the door to Alex's office.
It's open. It's my room with my workbench, not my office.
Oh, right. And Lucius goes down to the workbench and
Your armor is hanging on a makeshift armor rack on the top of Alexander's massive table. It has like 5 or 6 different crafting kits strewn about it. Oh, hey, yeah, I pretty much finished it. You might want to try it on, but I think I've managed to infuse it with quite a bit of extra protective magic.
You put it on, it starts whirring.
And you can see that your armor is basically the same as it used to be, but about half a dozen of the studs have been replaced with gray lead plates that have strange runes carved into them. That's pretty much the only outward difference.
So it's a +1 to protection, but a -2 to fashion.
yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
Unless you're at a steampunk convention.
Yeah, no joke.
I mean, I can cover those up with some extra leather if you want. I just left them out because I was still working on them, and I'm pretty sure they work.
Lucius goes ahead and takes the armor back to his room, gets fully dressed.
It's
Okay.
+1 now.
Okay.
Both Destil and Nodal.
Customize.
No coffee for you guys.
You
Oh
receive
no,
a
I've already had
visitor
3 cups.
much earlier in the morning than you guys typically receive visitors. By a man with a mangled leg, who leans very heavily on his cane, and one of his servants. The man is known to you as Shemrith Surefoot. Shemrith Surefoot was a ranger when he was a younger man. He's become something of a Dunfoss hero for his exploits in monster slaying. He maimed his leg protecting some of his party from werewolves. And he has worked inside the city as a bricklayer for many, many years. And he lives simply and spends very little money. So the money that belongs to his estate that he's amassed over early years of adventuring and then later with as a bricklayer and then a bricklaying company that he organized. Essentially, he's now a charity. He owns an entire block of tenements in the Shallows where they operate sort of like a halfway house. It's not an orphanage per se, but a lot of orphans do live there. He sends them out in the city to find people who are sleeping on the streets, the sick and the injured, bring them back to get them back on their feet, and then find ways to put them to work. That's his entire life philosophy. He's a very proud man, and he has a very proud mustache that takes over pretty much his entire face. And he's here bright and early. The sun's not even all the way up yet. And you're notified by Kevin, who's also been up all night doing whatever bizarre Artificer stuff Alexander has had him doing. So he's waiting patiently for you, and the implication is he's been waiting very patiently for a long time for you guys to wake up and gather yourselves.
Lucius will greet him cordially and say, "What can we help you with?"
What's your passive insight?
Passive insight is 8.
Is 8. You walk out into the commons where he's been waiting, and he's standing there. He has a servant along with him. About Kevin's age, maybe, one of the young orphans who lives and works at the tenements. And Shemrith is looking at the painting of the Ponce. And you try to figure out what he's thinking, but there's just too much mustache in the way.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, it's a very impressive mustache, though. Formidable.
Shemrith turns to you, and again, he has to lean very heavily on this cane because his leg is completely twisted the wrong way. It's atrophied, and you're not actually sure how it hasn't been removed at this point. But he bears this injury proudly.
I realize that the ladder gangplank system that we have is now probably very not friendly to the disabled.
Yeah, it's extremely handicap inaccessible. You guys got to get woke.
Yeah.
So, question before we go into this scene: do any of the 5 of you have any connection to Shemrith Surefoot or his tenements?
No.
He's a human?
Yes.
No.
Gus, no.
Okay.
He worked in the wharf town when he came here first.
So he's a man that you guys know by reputation and may have seen around, and you understand his purpose in the Shallows, but have never met personally. He turns to Lucius, bids you good morning, and he asks whether you're the other members of Flumph Inc. will be joining you.
They're all down below. I guess taking breakfast. I can go fetch them for you if you so desire.
He nods. He tells you that that's precisely why he's here. Now,
Right, then.
you guys know that I don't do a lot of character voices in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
when I give this character's dialogue, I want you to think of the actor Sam Elliott. Because that's who this man is.
Excellent.
When
So
he speaks.
I have to know,
If you Google Sam Elliott, you will immediately know what I'm talking about. You've seen
I know
this
who
guy
Sam
before.
Elliott is.
Okay.
Yeah, I know who Sam Elliott is. But the mustache, are we talking Final Fantasy 4 Yang or the After Years Yang?
This is we're definitely into After Years territory.
Okay, all right.
Nice.
The mustache has taken over. The infiltration has happened into the sideburns and into the...
He's more mustache than man at this point.
Do all 5 of you agree to meet with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was one of the candidates to become king. Yes.
He is. And the reason he is because of how much charity and goodwill he has bought in the city of Dunfoss. He himself, none of you have ever met the man, but he's not doing any active campaigning the way that Journey and Percival Penniless is. He doesn't have a lot of political clout the way that Joni Fletcher does. He motions to his servant to hand one of you a thin parcel. Who accepts it? It's just a paper parcel tied up
Lucius
in
will.
twine. And Lucius takes it, and when you open it, you find 3 more of these now familiar envelopes. And he says that is Shemrith says that these were found amongst the personal belongings of 3 of the men staying in his tenements. 2 of these have already been opened. The seal has been opened and the contents have been read. 1 of them is still sealed. He says these are 3 men that he's been putting to work in Gnome Town this week. One of the artificers up there has an experiment they're running that requires an enormous ditch dug, which is exactly the kind of work that his people will put to use for. He says that normally he would take something like this to the Blackjackets. However, he's heard of your exploits the past week in the Shallows. Twice you have stood in defense of another man's life to great personal risk, and this is an admirable quality. He wants to know who brought these envelopes into his house, who is contacting his people,
I
and
assume
why.
he's already read the contents of the note.
He can't. He doesn't. The script is not known to him. He
Right.
recognizes it as being like an otherworldly magic script, and he wants no truck with it.
It's fair.
He understands that you guys are spellcasters, that you are detectives, and that you, most notably for him, that you stood in defense of another man's life when you didn't have to, and you've done this twice. He wants to hire you to find out who brought these into his house and why. Gus had a question?
Yeah, just kind of out of character. Like we have we established that the flying pig is the one bringing these notes? That's kind of where like my brain is telling me we're going, but like we got concrete like evidence of that, right?
We know one person who's been bringing the notes, and we know what theoretical like sign they're using, but like that's as much as we've got. Like we don't know the full details.
Okay.
And he stands patiently and expectantly and waits for your response.
How much information are you looking to find out? Just the person who is bringing these notes to you?
He says, given the nature of the script in these notes... Well, first of all, none of them have been delivered to him. These were delivered to men living in his tenement, who he has taken into his care. So he feels responsible for them.
Sure.
Lucius takes one of the opened ones and flips it out and starts to read.
Okay. And it's the same information as you've seen before. It's the same kind of letter as you've read in the Gents and that you found on the Cosmics.
So
in his room.
To kill Percival Penniless. Right?
Various kinds of rituals and things in exchange for power from this flying pig entity.
Okay.
They're all written in common?
No, they're written in
No,
Infernal.
they're written in Infernal.
They're all written in Infernal.
Yes.
So are they all identical letters? Are they all promising like individualized rewards, or are they promising the same reward? Same like
all promising the same. It's kind of making generic promises. There are some slight differences. You imagine as being tailored to the individuals. Does Gus read Infernal?
No, I was just I was just wondering because we have several of these letters, and I'm pretty sure that question would have come up.
Yeah, he's just recognized the Infernal script. He realizes this is no good for his house, and he wants to know who his enemies are.
Sir, what is what have happened? Where are the three men who received these letters at?
Just right now, they're in Gnome Town digging a big ditch.
Okay.
Okay.
Which two? And I point at the two open letters. Like we're gonna need to know who these belong to, and then who this one belongs to.
And he looks at his servant. And the servant kind of takes him aback for a minute. They confer for a moment. Then he turns back around and says, I can give you the men's names, but I'm not comfortable doing this until I'm assured you can do this job.
All right. Well, in that case, if you could get one of our standard contracts, I'll turn over looking at our receptionist.
She grunts and finds the scroll and the inkwell and whatnot.
So for a job like this, there's a few complications. One, these are very clearly dangerous people. There's been a lot of murder and mayhem going on at their request. And if we were to put ourselves into danger fighting them, we would need to charge appropriately. As much as we enjoy helping people, and we did so when there was no other, when it was in the time of heat, we have our own debts to pay.
Shemrith nods and says, you'll be paid a fair wage.
In addition, there may come situations where we need to spend a little bit of extra money in the course of looking into these. We'll write these expenses down as they come and present the list to you, of course, for you to look over to make sure we're spending.
And he holds up his hand and starts shaking his head and says, this is getting too complicated. And you just tell me what the fee is. How much
You
will
see,
you
Gus?
charge me for this service?
Alexander is looking expectantly at Seeker and Gus.
Gus is holding up his. Gus is like he's got his hand up, so he kind of see, and he's holding up like a 100, and he like kind of looking questioningly at Seeker, like so he's doing a very poor job of like saying 100 gold.
And Seeker nods and says 150 gold should be fine.
Half up front, half payable on job completion.
What's the highest passive insight in the room right now? Because I think all of
Not
you are bad
Lucian.
at this, but
Florian is 12.
Seeker's also 12.
10 here.
so 12 is the highest.
Yeah, and that's me trained in insight.
Now,
Also trained in insight.
I have a big fat 8.
his errand boy that he's brought with him is standing next to him, and he knows not to gainsay Shemrith. And he still all smiles, but when you notice, those of you with the 12 insight, watching him, you see that he doesn't think that's a fair price, but he knows that Shemrith is going to agree to it. And for a certainty, Shemrith does, almost immediately. And he turns to his boy and he tells him to draw it up and have the coins delivered.
I'm picturing that scene in Ghostbusters where Egon's feeding Venkman the numbers at the end of the hotel job.
And you roll out the scroll, and he puts his mark on it.
Like what? You know, like we probably should have like hashed this out before he signed it. But like, what is he expecting us to like? Does he merely want? Because he never did answer the question. Like what?
That's fine.
He answered it to his satisfaction. He wants
He
you
wants
to
us
find
to
out.
who.
He doesn't want to spend more time talking with us about the details. He wants us to.
He wants to find out who did it. He never said anything about dealing with it.
Here's what I want to know: are you putting the cost of all of this parchment and ink into haste books that you're having these standard contracts drafted up? Because that is not a trivial cost. Parchment and ink have a cost in the PHP.
They do.
We'll
And
get
he
that.
seems very satisfied. And sure enough, later that morning, another runner from Shemrith comes by with 75 gold.
Like there's what you're saying is there's not like a fantasy Office Depot here in Dunfoss. We can
No.
just go pick up a sheaf of printer paper.
I mean, you can procure these supplies, but they're not free. You don't have an endless supply of paper and ink.
You said it was the 17th today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We do need to actually like now that we've got that, and it's like, and Gus is gonna go over and high five Seeker. And it's like, woo, we're gonna get paid to look into the flying pig finally.
Mhm.
But he's also we need to like discuss like what we're going to give to third party, like because I feel like we have enough information, we have enough leeway for 2, possibly 3 deadlines.
That happens tomorrow on the 18th.
Right.
Is they're going to come by for that.
Let's see, of my notes right now for Coria regarding that, Fireblood's last action was to cast the vote to install Juliana the first 60 years after Fireblood's last heir vanished. That's what I have right now. Regarding
So I think that information alone is enough to satisfy the requirements. But I feel like we have 2 other things in our favor that might add up together that maybe we should try to use. Should we try to use the lesser ones first and then run the risk of them not being enough? Or should we hit them with our best shot?
What do you think is all of our info?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 60 the
60
Fireblood
vote.
Yeah, the 60-year ago votes. So the House Fireblood is not actually technically defunct.
Okay.
The fact that the information we gathered on the fate of the last known heir of Fireblood, that she married a foreign noble, and her children are presumed dead.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's not information, but it is relevant to our overall goal. Lucius was helping the Ponce network with nobles in the House of Lords.
Mm-hmm.
That one's kind of sketchy, and I don't know if it'll fly, but I think that it does actually.
I don't understand
Well,
what
like
that means for him, because he was obviously doing
if he's
networking?
like
So here's my reasoning, right? We say that there was this 60-year ago vote by House Fireblood. I don't think we're getting 3 pieces of information out of this, and
No,
frankly, but I think we can get 2. So I think we should cut this down a little bit. We put this last one with this first one, and we say we found out there's a 60-year ago vote, and then we've put you and us in situations where we can find the people who voted on this vote and have them tell us who this person was who voted for House Fireblood 60 years
So
ago.
we're thinking dwarven and elven families
Yes.
in town.
Yep.
I'll see
And
what I
then-
can do there.
If that goes really poorly, we can also just say this also proves that this isn't true, and namely give the last heir of Fireblood information. And then if question on that, why we didn't just tell that news off front, we can just be honest about it. We didn't think it was enough information to stand on its own. We wanted to look into it more.
right. I mean,
So my idea is that I go to one of these elven or dwarven families that doesn't hate our guts, and see if they feel like talking about the good old days of Juliana the First.
Yeah, see if the dwarven family we pissed off has any enemies. Talk with one of them.
Okay.
So what is everybody's plans for today, the 17th?
I think we should go to Gnome Town
Okay.
since we basically have. I mean, it's going to take Lucius is going to have to follow up on that. He's going to have to actually make an appointment.
Yeah.
So
I need to go to a glassblowers and purchase some vials.
That would also be in Gnome Town.
We can
Okay.
hit that on the way.
I actually did put a glaziers in here somewhere. Let me see where I put that.
Nice.
you only put the glaziers there because Destil has been going on and on about the glass fire.
Well, yeah, that's exactly why I did it. Congratulations on putting that together. Listen, when you're dealing with this much material like I am for the city of Dunfoss, it really helps when the players do some of the world building for you.
You're gonna not complain once you don't have to dump out a healing potion to store some acid.
So I actually imagine that Alexander would have contacts within this person's family.
Okay.
And this is FantasyNameGenerators.com quintessential name. Cluthida's fourth cousin
No.
is an elderly and half-crazed gnome who plays at all the finer trappings of being a typical human noble. He and his family live in a manor in High Bluffs that's a squat stone tower with magnificent stained glass windows and crystal sculptures called Glasswall Keep. And his glaziers operation is a big deal in Gnome Town because a lot of people need windows and things. And
Don't
also
forget-
files.
Don't forget that we also have that letter that is still sealed, that is intended for Journey.
Do you want to do that tonight
Yeah.
as a group if we're
Yes.
going to split up and do some investigation today?
I think
Yeah.
that would be a good idea. Yeah.
I was planning on asking the group to come to the end tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Are we all going to Gnome Town?
I'm going to leave.
Lucius
Sounds like
Lucius
I've got
is going to
business
break
there.
off. Lucius is going to break off and start looking into the looking into dwarven families who would be more amenable to us.
Let's
Does
split up,
Lucius,
gang.
do the Udocs have any contacts amongst the dwarven families of Dunfoss? Now, most dwarven families in Dunfoss have what you would expect: mining and metalworking interests. A lot of old family trade and thing, where a lot of Dunfoss's wealth comes from the sea and maritime trade. Dwarves don't have a lot of truck with that. So knowing that, would the Udok family have any contact with dwarves? There's also not a lot of dwarves on their side of the ocean where they originated from.
Yeah, probably not. But Lucius is always looking to network.
Okay. So how is he going about this? Like, is he just going to walk up to a random dwarven manor house and knock on the door? Also, I just want everybody to know that I tried to go to Fantasy Name Generator, and I accidentally typed in Family Name Generator, and it just brought me to the Fantasy Name Generator page for a Family Name Generator.
Family name.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Can you come back to me on that?
Sure.
Give me a moment to think about that.
Is everybody else going to Gnometown?
Yes, I'm going to Nodal.
Right.
Unfortunately, I did not have time to do a Gnometown map, but I can walk you through some of what you can see here.
Gnomes.
Lots of gnomes, lots of dwarves as well. So you have this big area called the Pit, just out of the boundary of Gnometown. This is a location of some ecological disaster, no doubt caused by some enterprising gnome. It's still used as the site of certain experiments. The earth is uncommonly hot and pocked with deep, sturdy boreholes. It sometimes floods. Nobody's totally sure where the water comes from because the cliffs in here are too high. The tide doesn't come up over and overflow into the pit. And there's no natural springs underneath the city this close to the coast. But sometimes parts of it will mysteriously flood, which causes huge gouts of steam visible all across the city. It's not toxic, it's not dangerous, it's not going to light the city on fire. It's more of a curiosity than anything. And this is where Shemrith's men have been sent to dig a ditch for some unknown reason.
When it floods, is it salt water or fresh water?
Difficult to say because the water almost always immediately boils away and turns into steam because of how hot the earth can get. There are 3 large ziggurats in Gnometown, and these stand as artificial hills, underneath which are underground compounds for teaching and experiments. These are the Hill of Alchemy, the Hill of Illusion, and the Hill of Artifice. These are the 3 magical pillars of Gnomish magical interest. This is also the home of one of the major magic guilds in the city, the College of Illusion Magic. This big open stretch in the middle here is just an open workshop. It's an open-air workshop. You can look down and see gnomes building and crafting and smelting all kinds of things, and this is where the Glazier's operation would occur.
Before we leave the boat, Gus is going to be like, "All right, if we're going here and we're expecting to get into a fight at some point here, I'm going to go down and get something." And he goes down to his room and he gets he digs through his old uniform, and he gets a bandana and he kind of folds it up and sticks it in his pocket and walks back out.
Are you expecting a fight?
Yeah, I'm not expecting a fight. I go to Gnometown all the time.
Were you guys expecting a fight when you walked down that dark, scary alleyway?
I was like 50-50, looking at Florian.
Yeah, I think that was a reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting
Like a
a fight.
coin
and
flip, I
died.
wasn't expecting more than like 3 guys, so I didn't think it would be a problem. 4th guy was maybe a little bit more than I was counting on. I figured there'd be 2 in front of us and 1 behind us.
Gus is going to take out he's going to point at Florian and he's going to make kind of bulls form together and he's going to point at Seeker and Alexander and he's going to, "That is why I drink," and he's going to walk out.
That's not true. He drunk before he met us.
Are the 4 of you staying together when you go to Gnometown, or do you have different things to do?
I don't think Gus has ever been in Gnometown.
Okay.
I need to hit the Glazier, and then if there's any investigation to be done, I can, move my way around. But my main thing is I need some new glass files for some
I think we stick together, and so while he's hitting the glacier, I'll just show Gus around Gnometown.
Okay. Large gnomish and dwarvish populations in this area, and there's also it's kind of strange walking amongst manor houses and then just small crowded residents all together. It's stranger still because a lot of these manor houses are built into the sides of natural hills or very clearly have are built down into the earth. To realize you're kind of walking over the city as much as through it.
Can I ask 2 questions here?
Sure.
Is the embassy that my father works at here?
Yes.
Okay. And is the Temple of Garglitter Gold here?
It would either be here in Gnometown or it would be in the Temple District. One of the two.
Okay.
Actually, there's probably both. Probably there'd be a larger temple in the Temple District, and maybe a satellite temple in Gnometown.
Okay.
And this is for the party. Just to confirm, we're in Gnometown because we want to talk to the guys, underlings who got the messages, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I got that part right.
Who has the 3 envelopes that Shemrith's men delivered to you?
I have one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and before we leave, I actually want to check something. I forgot that I wanted to check this.
Okay.
I want to see, because they're written in Infernal, I want to take one of the unopened ones and do a Detect Magic ritual. Because I want to know whether or not when someone opens it, it's going to confer the ability to read Infernal.
That's an excellent question. And I don't have my phone at hand for whatever reason. So I'll have to actually open a book. This is something that many children today have never done.
Okay, break.
Okay, Boomer.
You do get a sense of infernal magic from the unopened envelope, not from the ones that have already been opened.
Uh-huh.
And it seems to be coming from the wax seal itself.
Okay.
But the magic doesn't seem to conform to any particular school that you're familiar with. It just feels malevolent.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a signet on the wax seal?
Yeah, a flying pig.
Okay.
It's orange wax with the signet of a flying pig.
And I'll relay that to everyone, including Lucius, before I go.
Okay.
Do you think one of us should try and open it and see if it, like, I don't know.
How many extras of these envelopes do we have?
Yeah.
2?
Yeah, we have the one for
Do you want to open
Journey. Yeah, we have one for Journey and the other one for the guy.
Let's talk to the guy first, and if we don't think it would do any extra, so here's what I think we can do. We can try talking to the guy, and then we can try seeing what happens if the guy opens it on his own. And then if if you can look at that with magic vision, and then after that, like, I don't know, it might be worth opening Journeys on our own, or it might be worth not opening
Journey's
it.
probably not on her own. She probably wouldn't meet with us alone anyway.
Journey always has an entourage around her, similar to a Purse of the Penniless.
I guess what I meant is, it might be worth opening Journeys without other observers around to see, like, if it has some sort of magical compulsion on you or something.
So I think Journey's one of our best chances of actually finding someone to pay for some of this as well.
Right.
So I'd rather leave hers for a bit until we can see whether or not it's going to give us any value.
But Journey also is the one who probably won't let you look at her with magic eyes while she's opening it, whereas this guy probably should.
That's true.
Also, I didn't prepare any magic eyes. I don't have any goggles on me today, so one of you guys is going to have to do it.
Alright, Alexander, I don't know how much a glass vial costs. Whatever.
It's 1 gold piece.
It's 1 gold piece?
Yep.
Let's call it 9 silver if you're buying wholesale from a contact at the actual glaziers here.
Great.
Assuming you want to create friendly gnomish contacts for yourself in Gnometown.
Excellent. Yep, I'll buy 10.
Okay. And you guys are heading over to the pit to look for these 3 men?
Yeah.
The names you were given are Hollum, Damley, and Reed. These are the 3 men whose belongings the envelopes were found in. The idea was that they kicked them awake at dawn, sent them across the town to do a hard day's work, said if they didn't receive a good report back, they would not be allowed back in the tenement tonight and would not get a meal. And one of Shemrith's cleaning people came across the envelopes while cleaning through one of the barracks rooms and delivered them directly to him. He also didn't recognize the script at all, but Shemrith seemed to understand that it was not good juju, and that's when he brought it to you guys.
Those were his words, not good juju.
Well, that was my words. I don't think
Oh, okay.
Shemrith is too proud a man to use a silly word like juju.
Seeker would say juju.
Right. He has like a juju tattoo.
It's good juju.
A young gnomish illusionist named Kazpip Jorner has 6 or 7 men digging a ditch at one side of the pit at a place where the ground is very coarse and gravelly. And it's hard, backbreaking work. And you approach him, and he seems to have no interest whatsoever in splitting his attention between whatever he's going to do with this ditch and you four approaching him. So as you come up, he's already a little frazzled and out of sorts. And whatever it is, he needs you to make it real quick.
We need to talk to 3 of your men. Surefoot sent us here.
He says that you no doubt know that he's bought them for the day.
How much to get a lunch break out of them? When do they next get a chance to rest and eat?
Well, he says they'll take their midday meal in maybe an hour or 2. But after which they're going right back to work.
How much did you pay for them for the day? What would it cost us to take a little bit of their time?
He looks almost offended at the offer. And he opens his mouth to give an answer, but then he closes it. You can see his face kind of swirling up as he thinks better. And he shakes his head and says, "The work is much too important. You'll have to wait. Now, if you'll excuse me," and he kind of waves you guys off.
Gus raises his hand and says, "Hold on, sir. And he'll go, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'll get down there and help if you'll let them talk to the guys for as long as they want. I'll down there. We'll bring them up one at a time, and you'll have 4 people for the price of 3.
Make a... I've never asked for this check before, but it seems relevant. Make a charisma athletics check.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because he's going to look you up and down and see how... to try to judge if you can do the work of 3 men.
Strength persuasion.
I'm not asking him for all 3 men. We bring them up
Yeah, one at a time.
one at a time. Yeah.
Make the check at advantage, then.
Okay, so...
That's not
Alright.
bad. 11.
11 plus 4, 15 total.
He looks you up and down, and you're a strapping, muscular young lad.
16, actually, but yeah.
He looks kind of taken aback at the offer. And then strokes the stubble on his chin, and very abruptly he asks if you've ever been on fire.
And I look at him with dead serious in my eyes and says, "Sir, I grew up in the desert."
He shakes his head and looks like his patience is running. He says, "That's not what I asked. Not what I asked at all. Are you here to waste my time or answer my questions?"
And I says, "Yes, I've been on fire before." And Gus shudders a little bit.
He asks if you can return to work tomorrow as well. He may have use of you.
That's extra.
He says, he nods. He says, "The pay is good, and there's good ale at the end of the day. And I'll give you the 3 men for as long as you need them. What do you say?"
Okay.
This is a very odd negotiation.
So,
Listen, he had Gus at free ale.
for the duration of the time you need the 3 men today, Gus is going to have to go down and dig.
Right.
Tomorrow, Gus is going to have to come in and put 6 hours labor in for 6 silver pieces and ale.
Right.
Do not feel that this is a very good use of Gus's time, but
And he
This is what
vigorously
Gus wants.
shakes Gus's hand, and then he calls down in Gnomish to one of the taskmasters down in the ditch, and he rallies the three men, Hollum, Damley, and Reed, gathers them together. All three of them are young, but Hollum is the youngest of them. Damley and Reed, maybe teenagers. Hollum maybe looks to be about 12, 13 years old. Gus, how vigorously do you work when you're taken down into the pit?
I mean, I made a deal. I'm going to work to the best of my ability.
Okay.
Like, this is not. I'm not going to be slacking off. I'm going to be doing the job, and we're going to do it.
Jorner tells the three men that, the three folks from Flumph Inc. have questions for them, after which they'll be able to take their meal and then get back to work for the rest of the afternoon. And then he goes back about his business. The three men look very relieved to get a reprieve from the labor. Hollum is nursing a fresh-looking purple bruise that encompasses most of his right eye. And they are dirty, and they have this sulfurous smell to them because they've been working all morning.
I know a fairly decent restaurant. It's open air, maybe half a block from here. You guys want to sit down and have an early meal with us?
And they exchange their glances, and the man who was introduced to you as Damley says, well, we haven't been paid for the day's work yet.
Oh no, it's on me.
And they enthusiastically agree.
Seeker, can you do something about that smell?
Yeah. Actually, I can. And Seeker will go over and say, I need to just brush you off a bit. Brushes the dust off their shoulders while casting Prestidigitation.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
I'll
they
lead them over to
take them over to an open air Gnomish. I don't even know what a Gnomish cafe would serve.
probably like venison and stuff.
Gnome.
Forest gnomes.
Yeah, maybe.
I imagine Gnomish coffee would be like Turkish coffee.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
like that. Probably like a lot of salads too. Like you can get a good salad with venison.
During the course of the conversation, they exchange a lot of glances. So what are you asking them?
Well, I imagine the rudimentary stuff like, did you receive these letters? You know, did you open them? What was your reaction to them? The basic stuff at first, before you
Reed
get a question.
does most of the talking. Reed is the biggest of the three boys. He was also the dirtiest before Seeker got a hold of him. And he, after kind of exchanging a quick look with his two friends, says, well, that's our private property. How did you come by it?
We explained that we got it from his boss, right? That's how this works.
His landlord and boss.
His
Yeah.
landlord. Yeah. We explained that we got it from the landlord, who came to us to look into this.
I have his name somewhere here.
Shemrith Surefoot.
Shemrith Surefoot. Yeah.
Shemrith Surefoot, yeah.
And look, I don't know what Shemrith's deal is going through your stuff, but he's definitely doing you guys a favor. This is some things you do not want to be involved with.
A man already died as a result of it.
Alex,
Says
make
Seeker
it
conveniently not saying it was him.
2 men, counting Seeker.
Yeah.
There was a murder in Wolftown. Alexander, make me an insight check.
Sure. Can I, so Alexander is continually smoking and casting guidance on himself. Can I
Sure.
take that D4?
That's fine.
Okay.
That sounds like something Alexander would do.
I mean,
Yeah, no, obviously.
the smoke makes
Pretty
you stink,
in
but Seeker's standing right there making you not stink, so
that
there's
would
layers.
An insight of 12.
Inside of 12. As you point out that this is kind of bad stuff, for a moment, Hollum looks like he's going to say something, but then looks back at the bigger boys and decides not to. And Reed is the one that responds. And he says, that he couldn't read the letter anyway. It's written in some kind of mumbo jumbo.
Did all of you open them?
One of them hasn't. Reed says he opened his, and Damley confirms that he opened his as well.
And when you opened it, it was in mumbo jumbo, and you couldn't read it.
Damley says, well, I didn't really have much time to read mine. I had a few moments to get ready. I could either take my gruel for breakfast, or I could stay back and read the letter, but we had to report for work this morning, or we'd be turned out of the tenements. So Damley's saying he didn't have time to read his.
Damley's the one who didn't open their letter?
Damley
No, it's the other one.
opened it, but hadn't read it. Is his claim.
Okay. Who's the one who said they opened it and they couldn't read it?
Reed said that.
And I'll say to Reed, important man like you had time to open the letter yourself? Are you sure you didn't have one of your boys here open it for you?
Reed chuckles. You hear that, lads? Important man like me. From here on, I insist on being called Lord Reed.
Oh, like Lord West's name. You don't want to be one of them.
And he says, for my family name, I shall be Lord Reed of the Orange Wax. They have a good laugh, and he shakes his head and says, I'm sleeping in Surefoot's tenements by night and digging ditches by day. I have no illusions of my own importance.
I would not sell yourself short so quickly, Lord Reed of the Orange Wax. Clearly someone felt you were important enough to give this letter to.
How do you deliver that line? Like, are you delivering it sarcastically when you use the name?
Absolutely not. No.
It's-
No. Florian is being absolutely serious.
Does Florian understand sarcasm?
Academically?
Yeah, but Florian is ignoring it.
Because I don't think I've heard in 4 sessions. I don't think Florian has said anything in sarcastically. It's all been 100% genuine.
Yeah. And he understands sarcasm, but he's not interpreting it that way. That's why he's calling him Lord Reed of the Orange Wax, as he so wanted to be called, the importance of names.
And Reed says, look, I don't know the person who brought these to us. These were delivered in the night. The man gave them our names. They were brought up to the barracks where we all sleep on cots and placed on our meager belongings. So we awoke this morning, and it's just gibberish to me. Florian,
Let's see who delivered it.
make an insight check.
You got it. That is a 20.
Every time you bring up the letter, Reed insists it's mumbo jumbo, it's gibberish. He has a hard enough time with common letters, let alone whatever this is. He's protesting a little too much for your liking.
Okay.
And all three of them, they are voraciously enjoying this food. This is definitely higher quality food than they typically get. Shemrith gives them a cot and bread and gruel and maybe black coffee, but not much else.
God,
Once Florian picks up on the fact that Reed is protesting too much, Florian goes quiet
Okay.
and just observes.
What about the other three of you?
Seeker is essentially going to be trying to, just in case they do know something, going to be trying to just go into, okay, so this is why we're looking into this. Go into the depths that happened, and also the fact that, as far as they can tell from looking into it, the person who delivered these letters never had any intention of going through on their promises at all.
Okay.
so
Like,
am I
They were
actually
just
there?
getting rude.
No, you're
Am I
digging a ditch.
That's what I thought. You said the other 3. I thought.
My mistake. I
didn't-
misspoke.
Yeah. I was like, I thought I was digging a ditch, man.
Make a strength
And-
athletics check,
Okay.
Alex.
Since you guys, you're in those tenements, you actually sleep in the cots with the other people. Was there anyone else that Surefoot didn't notice who got one of these letters?
And again, they kind of exchange glances between the three of them. Reed says, not to his knowledge. Somebody came in the middle of the night and handed them off to one of the kids at the tenement and gave them their names, and whoever that was, the kid at the tenement, brought it up to the room, placed it on their belongings. So they were there when they woke up this morning.
The guy who wasn't saying much?
Yeah, the young lad, Hollum.
Column.